It's time we talk about creator burnout. There's a lot of buzz on YouTube lately about creators burning out because content creation has become, well, intense, I guess. And good advice is never far off. Take a break, protect your energy, reconnect with your why, or be productive in less time. Now, I'm not saying the advice is wrong, I just feel like it's too much treating symptoms and not enough dealing with the actual root causes. I've met people with burnout, myself included, by the way, but I've never met a single person in my entire life who truly ran out of passion. Not content creators, not PhD students, and not even employees in government service. They didn't burn out because a sudden lack of passion hit them. They all burned out because the work around their passion broke them eventually. If you're a creator, it's the operational chaos behind content creation that will get you, not the filming videos, the editing, or whatever creative work you actually do. Burnout is rarely a motivation issue, but it's most definitely a workload problem. So let's talk about the three root causes for content creator burnout and how to fix the operational chaos that promotes it. I'm recording this video 4 days before I go on a 3 week trip to Europe, which means there's still editing to do, thumbnails, uploading, and scheduling until I leave. So, in the last few days, I caught myself stressing out a bit. What if I won't be able to finish everything until I leave? That sort of thing. Clearly, that's not burnout, not even close, but it can very well be the start of a gradual breakdown. Creative burnout doesn't happen in one moment. It's rarely that dramatic. It starts as a Tuesday afternoon where you realize you've been working for 5 hours on a single video and it's still crap. The next week, you push a bit harder. And the week after that, you start rationalizing, hey, it's okay to miss this upload this one time. If we look at this from a feelings perspective, we could interpret this as the road to burnout. But if we manage to detach emotionally just for a second, we can easily argue that the operational complexity of running a content business grows a lot faster than it gets cleared. Or, in other words, burning out is the logical consequence of task overload that doesn't align with your passion. Think about what you're actually managing every single week, every day. You're not just making a video, a podcast, or write a blog. You're maintaining an idea backlog, researching topics, writing scripts, recording, editing, uploading, responding to comments, and the list goes on. And then next week, you do all of it again. So all of these tasks are necessary, but not all of them tickle you the right way, if I can say it like that. So when you knew that's all manageable, the task volume is low and the excitement of building something new carries you through the hard times. But at some point, the workload of running everything every single week hits a tipping point, especially if there is no documented structure or system to hold it all together. And you call it burnout because it feels so draining. Then again, from a more detached perspective, it's simply a content operation running without any maintenance. The machine didn't break because you lost your passion overnight. The machine broke because nobody was looking after it for a while. And taking a break, managing your energy, or even reconnecting with your why won't fix that. Having a proper system does, on the other hand. Some people don't like to hear that. They disagree because they just took 2 weeks off, came back, and feel fine. So their break worked, right? And maybe they're actually right. That doesn't mean I'm wrong though. What about 2, 3, 4 months after you come back? Does the pressure of the workload come back too? Or is it gone? For most creators, the answer is yes, unfortunately, it'll come back. Taking breaks gives you energy for sure, but it doesn't remove the overall load. And the moment you step back into that unstructured workflow, the pressure comes back as well. Exactly where you left it 2 weeks or 2 months ago. Now, don't get me wrong, my intention here is not to assign blame to anyone personally. That's important because this is a systems issue with a system solution and it's not personal weakness. It's not a character flaw, okay? So the creators who don't burn out aren't better people. whatever that means. They're not working less either. Many of them are publishing more actually. What they've done differently, though, is they've removed decision making overhead from their weekly process. And that's just a fancy way of saying their system carries the weight or the load, not them personally. So they can work at the same intensity without the same cost, which brings us to a very real question. And it's not how do you recover from burnout, but it's actually what is wrong with the way your operation is built and how do you fix that? So, as it turns out, there are three root causes behind most creator burnout cases. And again, keep in mind, we're not talking about the 157 flavors of symptoms here. This is about structural reasons the system breaks down in the first place. And in each case, the fix is not a mindset shift or a personality makeover. It's a systems design change. Root cause one is lack of load distribution. In practice, this means every week you carry the full weight of your content operation personally. You decide what to make, you decide when to record, you track which file is the final cut, which script is good enough, which B roll belongs to which video. Now, as long as the workload is small, that's totally fine. The moment the workload goes up, though, things start to fall apart. And the problem is nothing fails suddenly, it fails gradually or slowly. More decisions per week, slightly more cognitive load with each task, until work that used to take 2 hours now takes 4. And you don't know why, because nothing obvious changed. So, what's actually happening here? That's what we need to ask. Now, every time you sit down to work, you're not just doing the task in front of you. You're weighed down by the entire content operation, where everything is, what's next, what's pending, what's done. That's work on top of work, and it compounds every single week the more complex your operation gets. The obvious fix for this is documentation. Not very sexy, I know, but here is what documentation actually gives you. You never solve the same problem twice. You solve it once, you write it down, and the next time that situation comes up, the process handles it without your mental involvement. I mean, you might still be the one doing the work or the task, but you're not rethinking it from scratch again and again. So ask yourself this: if you went completely offline for a week, could your content pipeline continue? Even partially, could someone else with written instructions pick up where you left off without calling you? For most creators, the answer here is no, which means every week you're the single point of failure in your operation. That's what I mean when I say this is a systems issue and not a passion problem. Those are two very different things with two very different solutions to it. Hey, quick interruption. If this clicks, stay with me for root cause 2 and 3 because they compound. Fixing one without the other two is like putting one piece of tape on a bucket that has 3 holes. The full picture is what makes the fix work. Now, root cause number 2 is lacking a circuit breaker, or in other words, lacking a rule that says, when this happens, I automatically do this. The advantage here is that I don't need to make a decision in the moment. It was already made in the past when I was calm and thinking clearly. Having rules is like thinking in advance. Most creators don't do that. They have a general sense that they should slow down when they're tired or take a break when they feel overwhelmed, right? But I should do something now is not a system. Should requires willpower every time. And willpower is exactly what runs out first when the workload goes up. So here's what that looks like in practical terms usually. You're behind on uploads. You know you're behind as well. You feel it, but there's no clear rule that says when I'm more than 2 videos behind, I stop fiddling with the new ideas until I've cleared the backlog. So instead, you keep planning, you keep setting goals, add new goals, keep adding to the list, right? While the gap between what you plan and what you publish keeps growing. I know what you're thinking. I can't just stop reacting to trends, or, well, if I take a break from ideas, I'll lose momentum. I get that, but consider what it's costing you more. missing a trend cycle or burning out for 6 weeks or longer. Personally, I would argue that consistency beats being reactive every single time. The fix for this root cause of burnout is straightforward, in my opinion. Sit down now, not when you're already overworked, but now, and write a few rules for yourself that trigger automatically when things start to be stressful. For example, one of my personal rules is if I have less than 2 videos scheduled in advance, I pause the ideate step of my 3 step content pipeline and produce or distribute more videos first, so that I'm always ahead and I can have the flu for a week without freaking out because I'm about to miss the next upload. Whatever the rule is, doesn't matter that much actually. The principle is a lot more important here. You need a pre-made decision ready for the moment you're too tired to make a smart one. That being said, if you're looking for better behind the scenes business organization as a creator, check out my free one-page guide here. It'll help you identify where you can optimize workflows and processes in the background so you can focus more on the creation part itself. Link is in the description below. Root cause 3 that easily triggers burnout is lack of a regular maintenance window. Especially the creative types like to overlook this one because it sounds so tedious. Fact is, most of us already do some version of a weekly review. Maybe you check what's coming up. Maybe you go over your YouTube analytics or clean up your inbox every Friday. But that's not what I'm talking about. A maintenance window or a review here is a dedicated time where you work on the operation, not in it. Not producing content, not responding to comments, not ideating. Looking at the business or the system itself and fixing it before it starts to break. Most creators don't do this, at least not consistently. They're always producing, always moving forward, but never taking a look at the machine they're running until all the tiny friction points grow so big over time that the entire operation suddenly runs at half capacity. And instead of fixing the system inefficiencies, they rather blame burnout or hate the algorithm. I'm not suggesting you spend your weekends auditing everything from scratch. Half an hour once a week is enough for starters. Just half an hour where you ask one question. What slowed me down this week that a documented process could have handled in a fraction of the time? Pick one thing, then document the process, especially if it's a recurring one. Do that a few times for a few weeks, and your content operation will run significantly faster because of that. Not because you worked harder, because you removed the friction. The difference between a creator who burns out at video 50 and one who's still publishing at video 2 or 300 is operational maintenance, using systems instead of just doing the work. It's rarely talent or work ethic. The take home message is that creator burnout is not a motivation failure or lack of passion. It comes from 3 operational or systems failures. We have no load distribution, which means you carry the full weight of your operation personally every week with nothing documented to absorb any of the stress. And that weight builds with every extra task you take on until it's too much to carry. No predefined rules mean when the workload reaches max capacity, there is no automatic response. When this happens, then I do this. And no maintenance window means the inefficiencies in your workflows never get resolved. They build up, they build up, they build up, and the operation gets more complex the longer you run it, not less. When root causes exist long enough, burnout is the logical consequence. Personally, I do not want to go down that rabbit hole again, so I think about it this way. I'm not the person who does the work. I'm the person who designs the system that does the work. Thinking like that means I need to step outside the content production cycle long enough to look at it from the outside, see what's breaking, and fix it before it breaks me. Okay, in the next part, we go from defining the warning signs to recognizing them properly. Most content creators don't see burnout coming until it hits them square in the face. And it's not because they didn't see the signs. They're simply too focused on the wrong numbers or the metrics. So I'll show you 3 numbers you can measure to see if your content operation is heading for a wall and burnout is coming your way. Thanks for watching, and I see you in the next part.